Once upon a time, on the other side of the world, the sun woke up and started its journey. The sky was clear, the birds were singing, and the trees were rustling in the wind. It was just another ordinary day until it wasn't. For one day, in some corner of the world, the sun rose on a scene that gave humanity its greatest shock. Overnight, all the trees of the earth had vanished. No more green branches in the gardens, no nests of birds, no shade, no greenery, only dry, brown soil and silence. 1. The first day, surprise and false hopes. When people woke up in the morning, they saw empty ground instead of trees on the streets. Some were shocked, while others were even happy. Now we will have more land for construction. Now the forest's land can be used for farming. Such sentences echoed everywhere. Some thought this might be a miracle of God, a chance to make life easier. But soon the first birds flew in, chirping sadly, looking for their homes in the trees. Soon they began to die. Their chirping turned into screams. Seeing this, many people regretted what they had said. Still, they hoped that maybe experts would find a solution to this problem. But the next day, a new problem arose. The air grew suffocating. That fresh fragrance, which came from the leaves of trees, was gone. Breathing became heavy. Experts warned that oxygen was decreasing rapidly. Within 2 weeks, half of the oxygen on Earth would disappear. Birds screeched as they wandered helplessly in the sky. Their nests were gone. Many birds died of hunger and homelessness. Animals lost their grazing fields. Cows, goats, and deer had no grass or leaves to eat. So within a week, the whole world was in chaos. 2. The first month, nature's revenge. Within a month, the climate of the earth had begun to change. Rain stopped falling. 4 trees were natural magnets that pulled the clouds. Now the clouds drifted away. The fields began to dry. Farmers cried that their crops were ruined. Meanwhile, in the cities, the temperature rose. There was no shade on the roads, and the heat set homes on fire. Perhaps people in air-conditioned rooms could survive for some time, but the poor under the open sky began to burn. After 6 months, the Earth's color changed. After 6 months, the map of the Earth itself had changed. The green forests, once symbols of life, had turned into brown deserts. No flowers, no fragrance, no greenery, only dust storms that swept over cities and covered everything. The rivers began to dry, because the roots of trees were the networks that stored rainwater in the ground. Now that water simply flowed away and was wasted. Lakes shrank, wells dried. After 1 year, the end of humanity, near just 1 year had passed, and the world looked like doomsday. Oxygen had dropped so much that people wore masks. But how long could masks save them? Diseases spread: cough, breathing difficulties, irritation in the eyes. Every home had sickness. There was nothing left to eat. Animals had died. Crops were burned. Birds were gone. In the cities, people starved. Those who once took pride in their wealth and power were now fighting for a single piece of bread. 3. Humanity opened its eyes finally. After causing so much damage, mankind realized the immense loss. They understood that the earth cannot live without trees. Every tree was a soldier defending the planet. It gave shade, produced oxygen, gave animals shelter, drew rain. But now, all that was gone. Humanity was left with empty hands. Do you like this story? Tell us in the comment section. Also, share this video with your family and friends. See you in the next video. Till then, bye-bye. If you think your life is bad, then let me tell you a story. A story of the Earth's second year of destruction. After the first year, the Earth was unrecognizable. The once bright and green cities were now drowned in dust and smoke. People no longer lived in their houses, but hid inside shelters because breathing under the open sky was nearly impossible. The shortage of water made life unbearable. Whether village or city, everywhere people fought for water. Wells, springs, and rivers had dried. People longed for a single drop of rain, but no mercy fell from the sky. Can you imagine such a situation? This is what the earth looked like when most of its forests were destroyed. People survived by eating poisonous food. They drank salty ocean water. But in big cities, the rich bought water from tankers and sold it in plastic balloons for exorbitant prices. Water was no longer a source of life. It had become a commodity. Then came the second year after the first year of hunger. There was no grain in the warehouses, no food in the markets, no bread in the kitchens. Children cried and died of starvation. In the great cities, the wealthy hid the last stored grains, while the poor had nothing. This divide gave birth to civil wars. People killed each other for food and drink. Markets no longer sold vegetables or fruits. A piece of bread was worth gold. People ate grass, leaves, and flowers. Those who did not accept the bitter taste of death were forced to leave their homes and wander around. They wandered from village to village, begging for food. But people had stored all their food in silos and fortresses. There was no food for others. Can you imagine such times? When there is no food, there are no buyers. Farmers abandoned their fields. Their crops are rotting in the fields. It's a disaster for the earth and its inhabitants. Many people lost their minds. They started eating dirt and sand. Some people gathered in groups and tried to seize the food supplies, but the armed forces dealt with them severely. Some countries faced severe water shortages and some suffered from floods. However, all these natural disasters went unnoticed because there was no one to report on them. All TV channels had shut down due to lack of electricity. There were no roads, no cars, no internet, no phones, no jobs. And worst of all, there was no nature. With the disappearance of trees, not only oxygen dropped, but poisonous gases filled the air. Smoke from factories and vehicles turned the atmosphere into poison. As a result, a rapid spread of respiratory diseases occurred. Hospitals overflowed with patients. But where could medicines come from? For centuries, herbs and plants had been the source of cures. Now they too were gone. Can you imagine such times? There were no doctors to treat the sick, no medicine to cure the diseases. All the medical equipment had stopped working long ago due to the lack of electricity. People started dying in large numbers. The dead bodies lay on the streets and were left to decay. No one cremated them or buried them. No one even cared to remove the dead animals from the road. Then came the third year after the first year. The forests were completely destroyed. The animals were also wiped out. The sun shone fiercely in the sky, but there was no shade anywhere. The sky was clear, but there were no birds. The voices that once gave life to the morning were gone forever. The earth was silent. The forests had disappeared, and so had the animals. The elephants, the lions, the deer, the monkeys, all died from hunger and thirst. The earth was silent. The trees used to hold the soil together with their roots, but now the ground began to break apart. Whenever it rained, which was rare, it did not enrich the land, but poisoned it. The topsoil washed away into the rivers, leaving the land hard and stony. The earth no longer grew crops. It grew poison. The farmers gave up hope. Scientists created artificial trees. Machines were built that could produce oxygen. But these machines were limited to a few rich countries. Poor and backward regions never reached them. Humans thought machines could replace nature, but this illusion soon broke. Machines could provide oxygen, but they could not give shade. They could not house birds. They could not pull rain. Then one day, a child asked his father, "Dad, what were these green trees like? Did they really give cool shade?" Tears filled the father's eyes. He replied, "Yes, son, trees were life itself. If only we had valued them." Thus, the earth continued to turn to acid. There was no greenery anywhere. The earth became desolate. If someone had witnessed the beauty of the earth in its early years, they would not have believed that such a sad day would come. The earth, once the home of blue skies and green valleys, was now a barren, brown planet. If someone saw the earth from space, they would not recognize it as the same planet where spring once came. This story is a warning. Even today, we still have time. We can plant trees, protect forests, and guard the soldiers of oxygen. If we do not, the coming generations will never forgive us. If this story touched your heart, then please take a moment to like this video. Share it with your loved ones so they too can step into this dreamlike world. And most importantly, subscribe to our channel because every night we bring you a new light, a new dream. Your sweet comments are like blessings for us. So do tell us which part of the story moved you the most. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there lived a little girl who had a very unusual hobby. She would spend hours and hours every day weaving baskets out of moonlight. She would gather the moonlight in jars and then use it to weave the most beautiful baskets. One day, a prince from a neighboring kingdom came to visit. He was so amazed by her work that he asked her to make a basket for him. The girl agreed, but she asked for something in return. She wanted the prince to take her to the moon. The prince was confused, but he agreed to her request. When they arrived at the moon, the girl jumped out of the basket and started dancing. The moon was so mesmerized by her movements that it stopped shining, and the whole world plunged into darkness.